Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Snyder's Inc. I got good news for the people who have subscribed to this channel. I'm going to be on the works of getting a desktop computer that might be able to handle videos better than this laptop does that I'm on right now. So I might be able to give you guys better looking content, at least content where you can see the freaking video. I might be able to get you that. That's the best I can give you right now. I can't give you super quality, but at least you'll be able to see the video. So that's the goal right now. It's not like tomorrow I'll have it. It'll be a bit, but I'm on the works of figuring that out. Once I figure out what the best one is for me to buy is, I'll be getting that. That way you guys get better quality stuff. Right now we're doing Mr. Ball, and this man terrified the FBI. Mature audiences only. I don't know how many mature people subscribe to my channel, but if you are not mature, you need to be getting lost right now. Get out. Bye-bye. See you later. Get left. Vamoose. Scalio, you can't handle it. We ain't want you to do it. Alright. Ladies and gentlemen, I need you all to hit the like button, hit the subscribe button for Mr. Ballin and for myself. Mr. Ballin's at 6.87 million subscribers. Let's try to get him to 7. But yeah, let's do this right here. Hit the like button, subscribe button for me. The link to the original video will be in the description below. This man terrified the FBI. Mature audiences only. Ladies and gentlemen, you guys ready? Of course you're ready. Let's go.
There are a few graphic and distressing details that are revealed at the end of this story. Viewer discretion is advised. But before we get into today's story, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right place because that's all we do, and we upload 3 or 4 times every week. So if that's of interest to you, please replace the like button's eye drops with Egyptian fox urine. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. All right, let's get into today's story. On the morning of February 2nd, 2012, a young man pulled off a 4-lane highway in Anchorage, Alaska, into a large, snowy parking lot. He passed by dozens of parked cars until he arrived in front of this small shack that was brightly teal-colored. It was a popular coffee shop called the Common Grounds, and this young man worked as a barista there. After he parked his car, he walked up to the white door employee entrance to this little building, and he got his key out and he went to unlock the door, but when he turned the key, he saw the door was already unlocked. He knew the girl who had worked the previous night and would have been responsible for locking the shop up. She was 18-year-old Samantha Koenig, and although she had only been on the job for about a month, she seemed very responsible and had never had any issues closing up before. The young man shrugged it off, though. He figured people make mistakes, and he went inside. Right away, he noticed that a couple of things just seemed out of place. It was like Samantha must have just left in the middle of her shift without even attempting to clean up. There were napkins on the ground, there were towels out, there were cups still out. And so as this young man is walking over to the cash register to unlock it, he's running through scenarios in his head about how Samantha could have been so sloppy. And then he reached down with his register key, and just like the door, the cash register was already unlocked. When he pulled the tray out, all the money was gone. And that's when he knew they had been robbed. And so he called his boss. The night...
I wonder, do they think... I'm going to assume they think the girl robbed her? Robbed them? Like the girl, just because she's a young teenager, just took the money and left? Is that what the assumption is at this moment? I mean, that could be possible. That could be what happened here. Although, judging the fact it's about a man, I'm going to assume there's more to the story than just her, so... What else we got?
The night before, Samantha had asked her boyfriend, Dwayne, to pick her up after her shift at the Common Grounds. Dwayne arrived in front of the kiosk at about 8:30 p.m., which was 30 minutes after her shift should have been over. Dwayne had gotten held up at his job, which is why he was late. And so when he gets there, Dwayne looks around the parking lot and he doesn't see Samantha anywhere. He sees the coffee shop itself is totally dark and looks like it's been closed up for the night. So Dwayne gets out of his truck into the freezing cold night air, and he walked up to the window of this coffee shop and he pressed his face up to the glass to look inside, but there was nobody in there. Dwayne automatically went back to the fight he had gotten into with Samantha earlier in the night via text message. She had accused him of cheating on her. He had been kind of nonchalant, like he didn't care about it, and what ensued was a really ugly fight. And so,
well, don't. Oh, right. Well, I mean, the fight's immediately gonna stop when you accuse a guy of cheating, like, especially if he ain't cheating, that's gonna offend him. He's gonna be offended by the fact you're accusing him. If he is cheating, he's just gonna be immediately defensive to the point that it will cause a fight. No matter what, once you accuse the guy of cheating, do not accuse a guy of cheating without proof, because you're not going to get an answer from them. You will not get a response from them, the response you want. You have to have a very rare guy for you to accuse a guy of cheating, especially if they are cheating, and get them to actually admit they're cheating. You will have it will be so shockingly, the odds of that happening are so little, it just don't do it unless you have some proof.
So as Dwayne is walking back to his truck, he's thinking to himself, maybe Samantha just didn't want to see him because of the fight. And so at the end of her shift, she got a ride home from her father or maybe from a friend, and that's why she's not here. And so Dwayne gets back inside of his truck and he sends a text message to Samantha asking if she's okay, if she's gotten home. But after several minutes of no response from her, Dwayne, even though they were fighting, he still cares an awful lot about his girlfriend. He decides, I got to go by her house and make sure she's there and that she's okay. So a couple minutes later, he gets to her house, he goes up to the door, and her single father, James, answers the door. Dwayne explains that he didn't see Samantha after her shift and just wanted to make sure she was here. But James says, she's not here. I have no idea where she is. I haven't spoken to her.
Uh-oh. That's not good. That means something has happened to her. By the way, for the people who are going to be like, why does he keep pausing it? Too bad. I pause it, I give my opinion. I don't care that you don't like it. Okay, you want the chance? You want to just watch the video by itself? The link, go to the original go to my description. The link is there. You can watch the video. If you're watching this video and you're going to keep watching this video, you'll get used to my fucking pauses. Alright? Okay? You see his beamy eyes? That's me right now. Get my crazy ass. Anyways, the fact that no one's heard from her is very concerning, because that means it can mean many things. She could have ran off with a different guy. Okay, she's the one that's possibly cheated. She could have just taken the money and ran from everyone. Or something could have happened to her. Like when they got robbed, they took her. That's also a possibility. I wonder what happened. We'll find out, Mr. Bone. Keep talking.
So the two men go into James's kitchen, they sit down, and they start texting and calling Samantha to try to figure out where she is. And after a couple of minutes, Dwayne's phone lights up, and it's a text message from Samantha. And the message clearly indicates that she's still very upset with Dwayne, but she's saying that she needs some time to think, and that she's going to be with some friends for a couple of days, and would he, Dwayne, let her father know where she was. So
Hold on, I need to hear more before I say anything.
Dwayne shows James the text message, and Samantha's father looks at it, and he's thinking to himself, this is very uncharacteristic of Samantha. He had raised Samantha since she was 2 years old, and they were very close. They shared everything with each other. It didn't make any sense that she wouldn't contact him directly to say that she was going to be out with friends for a couple of days. And it didn't make sense that she would ignore all of his phone calls and text messages when clearly he was worried about her. The two men...
I don't think it was her that sent that text. I think now I'm more thinking something happened to her, because I think someone did that text for her. Someone just said, hey, just came up with a response. Maybe the person who she's with or has taken her, she brought up the fact she was fighting with her boyfriend, so they used that as the reason that she's not there. That's their justification. She's angry at him. She's hanging with a bunch of friends. She's hanging with friends. You don't need to worry about it. There you go. We did my part now. That's what I'm gonna assume.
Stayed up super late calling and texting, hoping to get more information from Samantha, but she never responded. She never texted back. And so the following morning, when neither men had gotten any more messages from Samantha, James went to the Anchorage Police Department and filed a missing person report for his only daughter. After receiving this missing person report, an officer with the Anchorage Police Department called the owner of the Common Grounds coffee shop to ask about Samantha. And the owner actually said that they just got a call from their barista that was working at the kiosk that morning, and they had informed them that apparently there had been a robbery and no one can get in touch with Samantha. No one knows where she is. The owner told the police officer that as soon as she got her hands on the security footage from the night before, she would send it over to the police department. While the police waited for this footage, some officers began calling Samantha's friends and other family members to see if they knew where she was, but no one had heard from her and no one knew where she was. No one had any information. Some other police officers headed over to the Common Grounds coffee kiosk to get a look at it for themselves. And when they got there, there was no sign of a struggle outside or inside the kiosk. And inside, underneath the counter, was a panic button that had not been pressed. And so even though Samantha's father thought there was something odd about her final text message, the police began operating under the theory that Samantha had robbed the kiosk and then left of her own accord.
That's what I guarantee the assumption would be. Because if there's nothing that makes them go that you need to do something, if there's nothing that shows a struggle, this young girl who had worked there, suddenly their money's gone, she's gone, but since there's no sign of a struggle or anything, it seems like she just up and left with the money. So, yeah, I can see why they immediately assumed that she'd be the one that robbed it. It makes sense.
But what confounded police was how Samantha actually physically got away from the coffee shop. She didn't have a car that night, and she couldn't have just walked away because the weather was way too miserable and cold outside, and Anchorage is just not really a walkable city. And so if Samantha was telling the truth, that she was just taking a couple of days to be by herself with some friends at their place, then why didn't any of her friends know where she was? This question was answered later that day when the owner of the coffee shop made the security footage available. The footage, which has no audio, picks up around 8 p.m. on February 1st, 2012, which was the night Samantha went missing. It shows Samantha inside of the kiosk. She's working alone, she's cheerful, and she's busy. And then at some point, someone that we can't see, they're outside of the camera's range, comes up to the window and orders a drink. Samantha clearly turns to them, acknowledges their drink order, and turns and begins making this drink. And then after she's done making it, she turns to give it to this person, and immediately Samantha steps back and puts her arms up. And then seconds later, she reaches over and turns off the lights inside of the kiosk, and then she gets down on her knees with her back to the window. She stays in that position.
Okay, so I have two different assumptions. Either one, it's her boyfriend. No, that doesn't work. No, because he was held up as work. So the work would have known he's there. Never mind, that doesn't work. Yes, it must be someone who just robbed the place then. I was thinking of boyfriend, but I was like, no, that doesn't work, because the boyfriend was held up by his job, so his job would be able to confirm that he's there. But it makes sense someone had him turn the lights off, stop the panic button. So maybe it's the person who worked there. And they just knew that she wouldn't let them rob it. Because of, maybe she's prideful of the job or something. So she instead, so they had her turn the lights off so she couldn't hit the panic button, and then took her away to, I don't know what the heck to do with her. I can assume how this ends with her, unfortunately. But yeah, it makes sense they did it. I'm just curious who did it. But as a very scary situation. It's also unfortunate it took him all day to get the security camera footage. I get it, because, I mean, my bike got stolen from my apartment building, and it's taken forever to figure out the footage for that, so I get it.
Not talking, not moving for about a minute before she slowly stands up and walks down the kiosk towards the cash register. She opens it up, she scoops some money out of it, then she walks back to the window and appears to hand it to a shadowy figure on the other side of the window, and then Samantha turns, kneels again with her back to the window. 2 more minutes go by before this person outside the window leans their entire upper body inside of the coffee shop. They reach down and they appear to tie Samantha's hands. Now, because it was dark inside of the kiosk, the footage winds up being extremely grainy, and there's...
Smart move. These guys, whoever this is smart. They know this thing well. I don't know if they know much about the security footage and all that well, but he knows enough to know that the lights off, the camera, if there's a camera, won't pick them up well.
No way to identify who this figure is. Although it's fairly obvious that it's a male. He's wearing a big sweatshirt and he's got a hat pulled down low over his face. After this mystery man is done tying Samantha's hands, he leaps through the window and then shuts the window behind him. And then he stands Samantha up, he puts a gun into her back, then he marches her out the employee door and then out across the lot, all the way to a white pickup truck where he puts her inside and they drive off. Over the next couple of days, the police and also the FBI, who had been called in to be a part of this investigation, they just kept hitting dead end after dead end because there was no evidence. All they had was this surveillance footage that was too grainy to tell who this guy was that took Samantha. Meanwhile, Samantha's father, James, had rallied the support of nearly all 300,000 people that lived in Anchorage to go out and look for his daughter. His efforts were so profound, it had attracted major news outlets across the country, and suddenly his daughter's story had grabbed national headlines everywhere. This led to strangers donating thousands of dollars to fund a reward for anybody that had information about Samantha's whereabouts. But despite this reward growing in size every single day, and the national news media becoming increasingly more interested in this case, no one came forward with useful information that led to developments in this case, and Samantha never got in touch with Dwayne or her father. Then, on February 24th, so 3 weeks after Samantha's gone missing and no one's heard from her, Dwayne got a text message from Samantha's phone, and it was directing him to a particular sign inside of a nearby public park. And so Dwayne and James read this text, they shared it with the police department, and then they raced to this park and actually beat the police there by about...
Who the hell sprays Purdy like that? What the hell? I'm sorry, but like, ain't she pretty is a stupid lie. Don't ever say that. I don't care who you are. If you spell pretty like that and make that as a thing, I would smack you in the face. How? Don't ever spell it like that. Ever.
15 minutes. And so Dwayne and James, they walk through the gates and they start walking down this main trail and they stop in front of the sign. It was actually a bulletin board, and tacked on the bulletin board was a Ziploc bag inside of which was a typed ransom note. And on the ransom note, literally Xeroxed onto it, was a black and white photo of Samantha. And in this photo, Samantha looks kind of dazed, like she's got a blank expression, and she's not really looking at the camera. She's looking just to the side of the camera. And then in this picture, a man is holding a copy of the Anchorage Daily News newspaper that's dated February 13th, 2012. This was a proof of life photo where Samantha's captor was holding up that newspaper to indicate that Samantha was alive as of February 13th. And so to everybody involved in this case, including Samantha's father, even though this is still not a good situation at all, it was kind of a relief to know that at least as of last week, Samantha was alive. As for the demands of this ransom note, James...
That is a good thing to have as a ransom thing, is that proof of fact someone is showing you they're alive, like they're alive at this moment, they're currently alive. Do all this and you'll get them back. Maybe. I wouldn't, I still have distrust of that. And they told me if I do all this to him, I'd still not be fully confident in it. Criminals are fucking crooked, man. Obviously. That's a stupid line. Ignore me.
James was told to deposit $30,000 into his daughter's account immediately, and if he did that, she would be released 6 months later. As advised by the FBI.
Why 6 months later? That's my question. Why 6 months? Hold on. Was it 6 months later? Why 6 months? What was the guy's plan within that 6 months? What did the guy want to do within 6 months with this guy? Oh, like, what a weird time frame. That's messed up. That's messed up.
James deposited a portion of the ransom money into his daughter's account, and then the FBI just waited and watched because they knew if anyone tried to withdraw money from that account, they could track where the card was. A few days later, 3 separate withdrawals were made within Anchorage, but each time the FBI got a notification about one of these withdrawals, they would rush to the scene, and whoever it was that had tried to make this withdrawal was long gone. When they pulled the security footage from these 3 different ATMs, the person that was making these withdrawals was a man wearing a ski mask and big sunglasses, so they had no way to identify him. After these withdrawals, the account went silent for over a week, and in that time, there was no word from Samantha. Then, on March 7th, more withdrawals were made, but they were in Arizona, and then New Mexico, and then in Texas. Again, authorities would rush to these ATMs, but they would get there right after the masked man with sunglasses had just left. But there was a break this time. In one of these surveillance videos from one of the Texas ATMs, they spotted the car this guy was getting into before he left. It was a small sedan, it was a white Ford Focus, and they saw him leave going east on a Texas highway. And so authorities in Texas were told to look out for this particular car in this part of Texas. And sure enough, on March 13th, a Texas patrolman spotted the car sitting in a hotel parking lot. He waited near...
Okay, I just have to say, do they have the license plate for this car? I'm going to hope so. I hope they're not just going off the fact it's a white sedan and just going, oh, that's the car. Because this is how innocent people get arrested. If you just go off the car. Because the cars are very, unless you have the license plate, which I hope this person has. It's just all I hope they have. I won't know, but I just hope they have it.
Nearby until a man in his 30s walked out of one of the hotel rooms, walked down, and got inside the car, and then this patrolman just kind of followed him and looked for any reason to pull him over. And as he had his radar gun on this guy, he noticed he was going 2 miles per hour above the speed limit, and so he pulled him over. The patrolman got out, he walked up to the driver's side window, the window was already down, the man was very calm, the patrolman asked him for his license. And the guy handed him an Alaskan license. His name was Israel Keys, he was 34 years old, and he lived in Anchorage.
Oh, you look messed up. Oh, you look like you commit a crime. You look like you can commit a crime. Oh, you look criminal-esque. Oh, I don't like the look of you.
The patrolman knew this was the guy. He called in backup, and before long, they were searching Keys' car, and in the trunk, they found a ski mask along with other clothes that matched the description of the guy who was making withdrawals from these different ATMs. They also found a gun, as well as Samantha's cell phone and debit card. After Keys was arrested and was brought into custody, he denied having any involvement with Samantha's disappearance. But after being presented with the overwhelming evidence that suggested otherwise, he caved and said yes, he would tell them the full story of what happened to Samantha, but they had to get him an Americano coffee, a peanut butter Snickers, and a cigar. Once he had said...
What a bizarre 3 things. You want a coffee, a Snickers, and a cigar. People are weird, man. Why would you want that? That's weird.
Items, he began to speak. And what he said was so disturbing and so graphic, the FBI still has not released the full transcript of his confession. Here is the version of events based on what was made public. On February 1st, 2012, Keys decided he was going to rob the Common Grounds coffee kiosk. He walked up to the window expecting there to be some teenager working inside, and he was right. It was Samantha. He asked her for an Americano, and while she turned to make his drink, suddenly his plan changed. Not only was he going to steal money from inside of this coffee shop, he decided he was going to steal Samantha from this coffee shop. When she turned back...
It's because she was a female. Y'all gonna hate that I said that, but let's be honest, that's why. This is a 30-year-old man with a teenage girl. He knew his thought was, she's a female, she won't fight back. There was no way this guy would have done this to a dude. There was no way. I'm not saying that because he's probably some predator or anything like that. Although he could be. We have no idea what this guy's about. Well, this guy, because he said the plan was for him to rob it. He expected a teenager to be working there. He saw that it was Samantha, a girl, a young teenager, and knew he would be able to take her with these. So that's why the plan changed.
With his drink and handed it to him, he discreetly pulled his gun out and aimed it at her and told her this was a robbery. That's when she backed up and put her hands up, and then she turned around, he tied her hands, he jumped back inside, and then he said after he shut the window, he jammed napkins inside of her mouth so she couldn't make any sound, and then he marched her out the door, outside, into his car, and they took off. Once they were in the vehicle, he pulled the napkins out of her mouth, and he told her if she tried to escape or if she tried to flag anybody down, that he would just kill her. And so he said she was very...
Here's the thing where, okay, so here's what I have a feeling either happened here. Either she thought, which is the thing I feel, that if she cooperates, he'll let her go. And that's what her thought process was. Because we've heard a lot of scenarios, that's a thing you hear, where if you're told if someone's robbing you or someone's doing anything, just let them just cooperate and let them go and everything will end. One, I hate when someone tells me to do that. That's not true. That's not true. That is not guaranteed. If you're being robbed, I suggest, if you have a way out, if you find a way out where you can get out safely, or you can at least get a chance to escape, take it. Because there's no guarantee you'll be safe. That's not guaranteed to anyone. That's one thought. The other thought could happen is he just made sure she couldn't escape. Because in a truck, sure, it'd be harder to do. In this truck, it'd be way harder for him to do that. Wherever after he takes her somewhere though, he can probably make sure she don't escape.
Very obedient. She was obviously very scared, but she was trying to do her best to stay composed. At some point, Keyes reached over and took her phone and sent that text message to her boyfriend, informing him that she was going to be spending a couple of days with friends and that he should tell her father. And then Keyes told Samantha he was going to be holding her hostage and trying to extract some ransom money. Samantha told Keyes that her family was very poor and that he wouldn't get much money out of them. To which Keyes said, "Don't worry about it. I know they'll raise money and they'll come up with it somehow." Then they drove around Anchorage for several hours, periodically stopping so Samantha could get out and relieve herself, other times so Keyes could smoke a cigar. Then around midnight, Keyes made his way back to his house and he pulled into the driveway and he...
Why? Why did he drive around Anchorage? Why did he drive around the city, not actually go right to his house to take her and put away one to put her? That's weird. I wonder what the thought process was there.
Turned to Samantha and he had her go in the back seat and lie down. Then he put some tarps over her and he told her if she tried to escape, he would kill her. And then Keyes got out and he walked inside of his house where his 10-year-old daughter and his girlfriend were fast asleep.
Never mind. I know why he drove around now. I know why he had to wait until nighttime when he knew his girlfriend and his 10-year-old daughter would be asleep, and no one would see him with this girl. Okay, I am shocked this man has a girlfriend. I am shocked this man has a girlfriend. This guy, where's the... Hold on. Okay, where we at? 429. Where's the picture of Israel Keyes? There was the picture. Where is the picture?
they spotted the car. And then this patrolman just kind of followed him and looked for any reason to pull him over. And as he had his radar going 2 miles per hour above, the window was already down. The man was very calm. He was 34.
This guy. I tried to find a picture. I'm sorry I had to go back so much. This guy. How does this guy have a girlfriend? He's too creepy to me. He just looks creepy. He looks criminal. He looks criminal. I would think girls should stay around. Any girl should be staying away from him. Stay away from his ass. Okay, go back to where we were at. Here you go. Alright, we continue now.
And in just a few hours, Keyes and his daughter were scheduled to go to New Orleans for a 2-week-long luxury cruise. Keyes left his house and went back to his car. He put a blindfold on Samantha and then led her down the driveway to his shed. Once inside, he sat her...
Wait a minute. He's supposed to be gone for 2 weeks. He's supposed to leave tomorrow. I don't think he's going to leave this girl unattended for 2 weeks. I don't think this girl lives much longer. Ooh.
Down on an upturned bucket in the back of the shed, and then he put a rope around her neck, and he anchored each end of the rope to the wall, so she was pinned to the wall. Then Keyes turned his radio all the way up to make sure it masked any noise she might make, even though he reminded her repeatedly that if she made any noise, he would just kill her, and by and large, she was very obedient. And then he gave her a couple of cigarettes to smoke and told her it was going to be just fine, to just chill out, that he was going to get the ransom money from their family, and that as soon as that was done, he would let her go. He turned on some space heaters to keep the space warm, and then he left and locked the door. He walked back into his house and double-checked that his daughter and his girlfriend were still asleep. They were. Afterwards, he started drinking some wine and relaxing, and then after a little while, he got a cup of water, and he went back out to the shed. He went inside, and he gave the water to Samantha, and he said Samantha was very composed. She was obviously frightened, but she asked him, "Did you speak to my father? Did you figure out the ransom situation?" And Keyes told her that, "Yes, I talked to your father. Everything's working out fine."
Well, that's a lie. We know that's a lie. Because it went, what, 3 weeks before they heard from her? They heard anything that he's been taking? So he just straight lied to this woman. So he either lied to her to get her to remain calm, or he lied to her just to lie to her. But there's literally no... He's straight lied to that girl's face right there.
He's going to raise the money. We're going to get you out of here. Everything's going exactly to plan. After that, he walked up to Samantha and he unscrewed the 2 anchors that were holding that rope up against her throat. And then he cut the zip ties on her wrist, allowing her to relax and sit forward and just kind of be at ease for a second. And it was very obvious that Samantha was relieved. Her nightmare was about to be over. But then seconds later, Keyes grabbed her really aggressively and tied her up all over again, this time much more thoroughly and much more tightly. It had been a cruel trick. When he cut her handcuffs and undid her necktie, he just wanted to see what she would do if she thought she was being let go. When in reality, he was never going to let her go. There was no ransom. He had not spoken to her father. It was all a big lie. Keyes told investigators that...
What a messed up human being. Like, this is a guy who just cut her, like, took everything off of her. Took all the, all the rope and out off her. To see what she'd do, just to, what, to get his enjoyment out of it? He just wanted to sick pleasure, see what would happen. Then, once he realized nothing would happen, like, she'd be fine. Like, what? Once she didn't do anything, he just tied her back up way more. Why? What was his thought? What the hell's wrong with this guy?
As he was tying her up for that second time, he looked at her face, and she had this look of total resignation. He said she knew what was about to happen to her. After Keyes tied her up, he left the shed and locked it behind him. He went inside to check one more time to make sure his 10-year-old daughter and his girlfriend were still asleep. when they were. He went back to the shed, he opened it up, he went inside, and this time when he stepped inside, it smelled like urine and sweat, and he looked down at Samantha, and she was terrified. He walked up to her, and he began to assault her, and then after he was done, he was standing over her, getting his clothes back on, and Samantha very stoically looks up at him and says, "Are you going to kill me?" He says, "Yes, I am." As he put on his leather gloves, she tried to talk him out.
It's got as I thought when he said he leaves tomorrow to go to New Orleans with his daughter. He never planned to let her go. He never planned to let her go because he knew when he kidnapped her he was leaving the next day, and you're not going to leave someone unattended in a shed for 2 weeks because they'll find a way out. So this girl, he knew straight up he had to, and he was going to kill her that night. This man's a sick, disturbed ass man. There is so much wrong with this guy. Like, Jesus Christ.
Out of it, but he said there was no other way. Keyes would tell investigators that he was very impressed with Samantha's bravery. Shortly before 4 a.m., Keyes drove a knife into Samantha's back before choking her until she stopped moving. He told investigators that she never made a sound. After she was dead, Keyes left the shed and locked it behind him.
This man is such a messed up human being. I hate him. I hate him. He's rotten to the core. There's nothing about this man that deserves any respect or anything. This man is so fucked up. I hate him so much.
He went into his house, he took a shower. Afterwards, he woke up his daughter and told her to start getting ready because they were leaving soon for the airport. While his daughter was getting ready, Keyes went back out to the shed. He went inside. He rolled Samantha's body up in a tarp and pushed her towards the back. He unplugged the space heaters, turned off the lights, turned off the music, and then double-locked the shed and went back inside the house to make his daughter breakfast. At 5 a.m., a cab showed up at the house, and Keyes and his daughter hopped inside, and they made their way to the airport and then on to New Orleans, where they went on their 2
Wait, did the girlfriend go too? Or was the girlfriend in that house for 2 weeks unaware of what was going on in that shed? Of who was in that shed? The fact that there was a dead body in that shed. I mean, it wouldn't be shocking. This guy looks like someone who probably hit it well, but like that is... Oh, that's messed up. Wait, but can you imagine if you're the daughter? This is 2012. Daughter's 10 years old. Daughter's gonna be 20 now. Can you imagine you're the daughter and you go on that trip and you go on that you go now and you think back to that trip and you realize that your father who you were with had just took a person's life just before you left? Like, that's gotta be an insane, bizarre thought process. That's to be so messed up. My brain could not imagine how I couldn't imagine being the daughter. My brain, it's hard for me to process.
2-week-long vacation. After they got back, Keyes went inside of his shed. He unrolled Samantha from her tarp, and by his account, she still looked fairly lively. And so he dressed her in some new clothes. He put lots of makeup on her face. He braided her hair, and then he stitched her eyelids open, so it gave the impression she was alive and alert. And then he held up a copy of the Anchorage Daily News next to her, and then took several photos, creating that proof of life photo for the ransom note. If you want to see this photo, you can Google it, but that's up to you. After he took these pictures, he chopped her body.
Is this the photo I think it is? Hold on. Anchor It is. It is. It is this photo. When they described it, I wish they showed this. I know this. I knew this sounded familiar. Oh my God. I knew this story sounded familiar, but I couldn't. When they described this whole situation and the person, the photo with the newspaper, and I thought it was this, but I didn't know anything behind it, so I was trying to figure out. My brain didn't at least put the pieces together if I'd heard it before. So my brain was trying to figure out if this was it. I had to look it up, as I just did there. Oh my God, I can't believe it's actually that photo. Wow. Okay. That messed me up a bit more. Wow, that is devastating to know the story behind that.
Body up into pieces and then disposed of her in a nearby frozen lake. It would turn out Samantha was not Israel Keyes' first victim. He was in fact a serial killer who specifically...
Of course he was a serial killer. He looked like what? He looked like a criminal. He looked like a messed up person. He would look messed up, and he was messed up. Of course he was a freaking serial killer. Of course he was. He's disturbed to the bone. He has a disturbed mindset. Everything about him is messed up. So much wrong with this dude.
Specifically preyed on completely random people because he enjoyed watching them die. Over the years, he had hid what he called kill kits all over the United States, which were these caches filled with weapons and other tools designed to capture and kill people. This way, no matter where he was in the country, when he had an urge to go kill someone, he would just go to his nearest kill kit, dig it up, and then go target a random stranger. And he didn't care if you were young, old, big, small, male, female, alone, or in a group. Everyone was a target of opportunity. Keyes told investigators that as soon as he saw Samantha inside of that coffee kiosk, instantly he...
By the way, I don't believe a word of that. I do not buy a word that guy just said. I do not buy that this guy went after anyone and anyone. If you were in a group, he'd just go up to you and get you. I don't buy that for a second. This guy, I guarantee you, mainly picked up people who were by themselves that he knew he would be able to get the advantage of. 100% don't buy this guy a second. Unless we know more about the people he's killed and how many more he's actually confirmed to be as his. I don't buy anything that guy just... I don't believe him for a second.
He knew he was going to kill her. Everything about the ransom, the robbery, all of it was just a lie to keep her in line, to give her some hope that she might get out of this alive. When in reality, the second she walked outside of the doors of that kiosk, she was dead. Keyes admitted to killing Samantha as well as an older couple up in Vermont, but he would take his own life in a jail cell in December of 2012 before he named any of his other victims. And so to this day, we have no idea how many people he killed. The best guess is 11 based on a drawing he made in his jail cell, but that's just a guess. So that's going to do it, guys. If you found this...
This was a messed up human being who did some terrible, terrible, terrible things. Took his life before he could name his victims. This story makes me not happy. I'm not happy ending this video. Ladies and gentlemen, that's it for this reaction. It ends on a very sad note. I apologize for that. I hope you all enjoyed this, though. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. The link to the original video will be in the description below. Let me know what you think of this story in the comments. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all for the next one.